Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. That's all I got. I This is episode 299. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
There you
There we
go.
go.
Uh,
Oh, it's been such a long Monday. It's been the most Monday of Mondays.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. It is Monday, May the 2nd, 2016. It's the week of Maryland Sheep and Wool. So I get to see Laura and
So excited.
staying with a friend that I stay with most every year. And I get to see a bunch of folks at Maryland, so I'm excited
I
about it.
know. Although the lady who came up behind you and always scares you told me she
One who
wouldn't
knits.
scare.
Yeah.
She told me she wouldn't scare you this year, and that makes me sad
She
because that's
probably,
my
maybe she
favorite thing.
will inadvertently. It's a
Mm,
talent.
that's an awesome talent.
Um, so let's see.
Knitting?
Words are not my forte this week. Also, Mondayest Monday is totally the title of this week's
This is the
episode.
most Mondayest Monday ever. It's
Um,
also Teacher Appreciation Week, so appreciate a teacher, yo, because they taught you stuff at some point, hopefully.
hopefully. Why don't you go first? Because I don't. I've just got works in progress and then
Okay.
nothing.
I just knit a whole 16 stitches on the sock, so I'm totally counting it. This is Hermione's Everyday Socks out of Black Trillium Fibers in the Phantom colorway. I did the patterning on the cuff and nothing on the foot, and I have an inch and a half to go before the toe. So I'm going to work on it while we record tonight and actually put a little bit of a dent in it. I've had some deadline stuff going on, so it's been sitting very sad and neglected over here. It's being knit on size 0, Addy flip 6, which means they're double points and they're sharp on one side and duller on the other, and they're my favorite needles. And I'm gonna see if I can score some more at Maryland Sheep and Wool. Um, and that is really it for that. The only other thing that I have, because I've been super lame I've been knitting like a lot, but I have nothing to show for it. I have no idea why.
That's not
But
true.
there's nothing.
You have finished objects.
Well, I have a finished object, a
Still.
single finished object. But I have this cool slipper. Look at this slipper. It's like a Cinderella slipper. It is the New Place Like
That's
Home
exactly
slippers.
what I think when I look at that slipper is Cinderella.
Do you?
Totally.
And hopefully it'll fit the person it's intended for. I'm a little worried. She says so. No Place Like Home slipper uses very little of a worsted weight yarn. I'm using scraps out of the stash because I wanted to try the pattern before I um used like super cool indie dyed yarn. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think this is Cascade 2. It can't be Cascade
No.
220 because it's in a ball like that.
It might be Barocco Comfort.
I
Because
don't know.
Barocco comes like that.
It does, but so does Encore. I'm thinking it's
Yeah,
Encore.
maybe. Yeah.
Um, but anyway, this was the size medium, which was supposed to fit a size 6 up to a size 9. I'm a size 10. Totally comes nowhere near what my foot would be. Like, if I'm like the evil stepsister in the Cinderella fairy tale, it is nowhere near where it needs to be. It uses negative ease to stay on your foot. So it is supposed to stretch like
Mm.
2 to 3 inches. And wool would be probably what I would, wool acrylic blend or wool, complete wool would be what I would choose to knit this out of. I'm gonna knit the other one, and then I'm gonna cast on a pair for me because I need just like putzing around the house summer slippers. Um, but I'm definitely going up to the extra large size, which is meant for like size 11 and 12. But because this is barely staying, this is a size medium
Well, but at the
blocker.
same time, did you gauge swatch?
I did not, but I checked my gauge and I'm right on. It's
Mm.
supposed to be
Okay.
4 stitches to the inch, and that's what I'm getting unstretched. So, no, but I'm awesome and I am getting it. Um, I don't know how the hell that happened. Oops. Anyway, so how the heck that happened, but I did get Gage. It's been such a long day. And it's cute, and she has like in the pattern all these modifications. Like you can crochet, and I could do this. I could crochet a strap around, like through the eyelets and
Mm-hmm.
around, if I wanted to.
To make it more Mary Jane like.
Yeah, but eventually I'll make another pair for me. But this is for a friend. So, and hopefully they'll fit her. No one has any idea what size shoes she wears, except Jessica says small. So,
And we
I
can't
don't.
ask her because it's a surprise.
Best kind of prize is a surprise. So that's all I got for knitting. I'm gonna knit it over here on my socks quietly, and that's all I got.
Oh, that's all you're working on, huh?
Yeah, that's it. I told you, like I've been knitting 3 hours a night, like 2 to 3 hours a night, and it was infuriating to me because I feel like I'm not a super slow knitter,
You're not.
but I need to put my phone away where I can't, like, not right now, but like in general, I'll like pick it up and play on Instagram quite a bit. But,
Yeah, and then 45
like,
minutes will be gone and you'll be like, what just happened?
but I was knitting on my Desert Vista Dye Works socks for last month and just freaking cast on a pair. Like, I only had to do like one sock and she had to do a pair of socks and she still finished before
Well,
me.
she had a lot of car time, though, didn't she? Because they
Now
went
she
on a trip?
drove.
Oh.
I don't know what's happening in my life where I'm not knitting quickly, but
Maybe
Jess is.
Jess has one of those little time turners.
Oh man, if I had a Hermione's time turner, I would be like in fast forward mode for the last 3 weeks of school.
I don't think you
Like,
can go forward. I think you can only go back.
can I zip forward a little bit? What is it? What's the one where they have like the remote control, like the
The
TV
light thing.
control?
Are you talking about the thing that sucks the lights from the.
No, no, no. I'm not talking about Harry Potter
Oh.
anymore. I've moved on to other
Thanks
random
for
time
letting me know.
to other random time travel things. Isn't there a film where they're time travel and they have like a remote control and they can fast forward?
There's an Adam Sandler movie called Click where he can like mute people and it's a terrible
I don't
movie,
know.
but
I need
anyway,
I need a remote control that can fast forward me through time. Just for the next week and a half.
but then you would miss Marilyn Sheeppenwolf.
No, no, no. Like I could pick the time. So it'd be like 3 hour testing window. Whoop,
It's funny, we both hate
and
time
then
travel
lunch.
books, but now you want to time travel.
Well, yes, there is that. Oop, and I'm just sitting on my headphones and just pulled my whole computer. Sorry about that.
Way to break stuff.
Anyway, you've been knitting on stuff.
I have. Not a ton this week. Oh gosh, what was I gonna say? Work has been ridiculous. Um, so I've been working a little bit later in the evenings than I usually do. And 2 days this week I totally took a nap from like 5:30 to 7. So,
That sounds like the most amazing thing ever.
but it's not super inducive to getting crafting done because then I wake up, have dinner, and I just want to read and go to bed. So, I have knit a little bit. So the first thing I'm knitting is I'm starting some mitered crosses for the hand spun blanket. This is the one I'm working on right now. Um, this is hand spun that was gifted to me at Rhinebeck. I think it was not 2015 but 2014, and this is Into the World Fierce and Flawless, and this
Oh yeah,
is
that was
from
one of her Firefly colorways.
um, this was spun by Melissa Melibella, and it's BFL, and it's a DK weight, which I'm not really paying a ton of attention to the weight as long as it's like thicker than a sport and thinner than a bulky. I'm just knitting it into the squares and I'll figure it out later.
You can block them out.
Yeah, or add or
Crochet around.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
either like knit around fewer border rows for the bigger squares or
Oh, look
whatever.
at you. You're
I'll
so smart.
worry about it later. So I've finished the first one, first little bit square. This is the second one, and it'll become the side square. If you've never knit a mitered thing, that's how it works.
Is that how it works? Are you certain?
Hey, I hadn't figured it out before I did it. Hush. So that I'm knitting on size 6, which are 4mm needles, I think. Yep, 4mm needles. I also knit a swatch. I wanted to knit with this for a while, and I got a sample of this from Kate at Infinite Twist.
Oh, yeah.
So this is her, it was a 50-yard sample. It's the Umbra base, and it's a camel nylon blend.
It's like a silk tube that's shot through
Yes.
with, or a nylon tube that's shot through with camel down, it looks like.
Let me see if I can
I have
find
some too that I need to play with.
like a backdrop that's white. Gosh, you would think white paper wouldn't be that difficult to find.
I almost just tried to hand you white paper, by the way. Like, I was like, I've got white paper right
I
there.
wish that you were close enough that that would work. Okay, I think I got something here. Yeah. All right, so I'll try to see if you can see this. But it is a tube,
There you go.
like Laura said. And I was wary of it for a while because the look of it reminds me of Kid Silk Haze. Because it's got sort of a halo, it's kind of fuzzy. Although, like, the construction of the yarn itself is nothing like Kid Silk Haze. But it was just, I don't know, I'm like anti-fuzzy yarns, I guess. I like it to be cleaner. But, dude, you're totally super quiet. Did you hit a button that lowered your volume? Maybe I hit a button that lowered your volume. Oh, yeah, I think it was me. My bad.
I was like,
When I was positioning, like, hunting. Anyway.
uh-huh.
So, I had this little 50-yard skein, and I balled it up. And I wanted to just knit a swatch, just to see what it felt like to knit and see what it looked like when it was knit up. And I really, really like it. It's very soft. So this is what it looks like once I've knit it up.
It's really pretty.
Nice and even.
I think you should do another swatch and do either a lace or a cable motif and see how it does there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I went and looked at Ravelry, but it's a relatively new line for her, so there aren't a ton of patterns. But, like, so Jared Flood, when he swatches things, or he used to, I don't know if he still does, but...
Are you going to carry it around in your pocket?
That's what he says, right? So he carries it around in his pocket, and, like, during the day he'll take it out and mess with it and stretch it and, you know, just see how well it holds up. And so I did that for a while when I was sitting and watching TV, and I just kept, you know, messing with it. But then I wanted to see, like, how it would feel against my skin for an extended period of time.
Did you put it in your bra?
I totally put it in my bra. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I was like, where can I put it that I don't have to constantly mess with it, but it'll give me a true skin test. And I was like, just gonna stick it down here, you know. So, and I forgot about it, you know. It didn't bother me at all being close next to my skin. So, I definitely want to knit with some more of this. It's got a nice weight to it, which I wouldn't have expected, but
I think that'd be fun to design a hat out of, or a cowl.
I think it might be better suited to a cowl than a hat, but...
This is the drape?
Yes, because of the drape. But I think it would also make a really interesting, like, stole, because it's so airy. Even though it's dense, it's also really airy because of the tube construction of it.
Because it almost acts like a single, so you're not going to get a shadow either.
So, I don't know. I'm going to talk to Kate and maybe get a couple of extra colors and see what I can do with it, because I like it. Aside from that, I've knit mostly on... I wanted to cast on some socks for a book that we're reviewing today.
Ooh,
but I couldn't find the needles, and then I was super lazy, so I was like, screw it, I'll just work on what I got up here. But now I found the needles, so I'll cast it on later. So I worked on my sweater.
Yay! So it's a big old bag. What bag is that?
You're going to laugh at me. This is one that I got at SSK as a gift this past year.
Yeah, your pig bag. Yeah. It's super cute.
It's just a giant denim tote bag, and I used the crap out of it. So, this is Even Flow by Hoki Locatelli. Gosh, you can tell how much I've folded this pattern up. It's falling apart. But it's an open cardigan with pockets. It's got design on the back, texture on the back, and then on the sides, and then on the collar and band, it's stockinette. I've gotten it marked all up with all my, as I keep track of where I go, I just mark it off.
Yeah.
So last week I was working on the back and trying to get the last increase done so that I could work on the bottom. So I finished that. And I've picked up and done, here, I'll show you. It's easier to just show you. So I finished the back.
Yeah.
And did the ribbing. It happens at the bottom. And then you got stitches on hold from the back neck from when you cast on. So you pick up at the edge and knit down the left side, and you create the pocket, and you put those stitches on hold.
Okay.
You just knit some stockinette for a while. A certain number of rows, you put everything on hold, and then you do the same thing on the other side, and then you join everything up. So after a certain number of rows, and you've decreased a certain number of collar stitches.
So you join it behind in the back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I've just gotten through the first row of everything is one long row now. It's like 300 and something stitches. So I've still got quite a bit to go. But
you should finish it for Maryland Sheep and Wool.
Dude, no. And unless it's going to be in the 40s, I'm not going to wear a sweater at Maryland Sheep and Wool. So,
I'm actually thinking about packing a dress for Sunday if it's really going to be in like the 80, like 78. But then I know it's not, and I'll freeze. So I'm going to wear jeans and a t-shirt like normal, like I always do.
So really ignore what she just said, because she's totally not going to do it.
I don't think so.
So anyway, I've worked on it. I've started this stockinette section that comes out from the side and goes towards the center on both sides. That's where I am now.
You could totally finish that
I'm not
this
going
week
to.
if you wanted to.
I'm not going to, dude. I have sweaters.
But I want to try that sweater on, so you should finish
You can wait until SSK. So that's what I've been working on mostly. Probably for Maryland, I will just bring a pair of socks and the Nuvum that I'm working on and off. Nuvum's a great brainless one that I can work on at any point in time. I've been working a little bit on the Constellation quilt, but I'll show you that later in favorite things.
Cool. Did you finish anything?
I did not finish anything.
I finished a pair of socks.
I finished a swatch. Does that count? Totally finished that.
Totally counts. I finished my Desert Vista Dye Work socks mainly because they were due on Saturday, and I wanted the project. Plus, the Penguins won their first playoff series, so they're in second with the Capitals right now. So these are Desert Vista Dye Works. The colorway is Color Accents Yellow. They were knit on size 0 needles. They are the Queen's toe-up pattern. So they've got this cool like heel flap at the bottom, and then it like if you flip them this way, they look like a normal sock.
Yeah,
but that's
like
the toe.
A flap and a gusset from the other direction. It's really cool.
So really enjoy these. Can't wait to wear them. All the ends are woven in and everything. So I'm probably gonna wear these to work maybe tomorrow. Ooh, I should wear them to work tomorrow with a Steelers jersey. That would make me super happy. It's basically wear what you want week at work. Like, one of my coworkers came in yoga pants yesterday, Friday.
Wow.
Because, well, we're walking around a room, like, we're walking around the same room, she and I, for 6 hours. Like, the only time we're not in that room together is when we take, like, a 10-minute lunch.
Yeah.
And go to pick up more kids. So, we're not with the general population. And because we get to walk around a room for that extended amount of time for testing and can't do anything, we get to wear casual wear, which in my mind translates into jeans and my cool book t-shirts. In her mind, it's a Horn Lake shirt and yoga pants, which is also very cool. So I want to wear yoga pants, but I don't have the guts to wear yoga pants.
It does take a certain amount of
They
chutzpah
might,
or
well, they
whatever.
might have not been yoga pants. They might have been, maybe they were like, maybe they were warm-up pants. I don't know. It was something that I was like, that's an interesting choice. But I don't judge because I have to walk around this room with you for 3 hours. But when you're walking around a room for 3 hours monitoring kids, you keep thinking about like random stuff.
Yeah.
Like everything is interesting, but it's really not. Anyway, that's my finished object or my queen toe-up socks that I cannot wait to wear. I've been spinning. Have you been spinning? You've been spinning too,
Not
right?
this week. I haven't spun.
Oh, that makes me
I spun
sad.
a bunch last week and then nothing this
You
week.
did. So I have a couple things on the wheel still. I started a loop bump because I couldn't treadle last week because I was so tired from walking around a room. I pulled out the mini spinner and I'm
Hmm.
spinning a loop bat on that. But I finished the Elk Lake colorway of Southern Cross Fiber Bond. So that's ready to ply, and that'll happen this week. So there's those two. I tried to show you the end of the one bobbin, and then I realized it was just a regular shocked bobbin and not interesting at all.
I'm not gonna help you.
But those two are ready to fly. And then I am almost ready to play on this. So this is my shocked bobbin. Check out how this is
Wow, you really
packed.
packed the crap out of that.
And then, ooh, look at that. And there's the whole outside. This was spun woolen. So the Elk Lake is spun worsted on the Ladybug. This was spun woolen on the sidekick, or not the sidekick, on the Reeves. And you can tell I was over, adding a little bit of over twist at some points. Um, because I was trying to pack it so full. But I still have some of it left to spin. It wouldn't all fit on there.
Oh, you had to give it
So
up, huh?
I did. I was like hand winding on, and then I was like, this is ridiculous. And it kept popping off the back.
Yeah.
So that was making me a little bit angry. You can tell it's popping off the back right now. There's a strain right there. So I have this little bit still left to spin. This is a bat from Into the World in the Element 5 colorway. Love her bats. Gonna probably get another one at Maryland.
If you're
This was
fast
my
enough.
yeah, this was my last one. That's my first stop. It's always my first stop because I love Chris and James
I do too.
and they're fun people. So I have the rest of that to spin, and because I don't feel like Navajo playing it, I have these two purple bats from the stash, and I think I'm gonna apply the two of those together.
Hmm.
So we will see. Although those are silk and merino, but I'll do it. I'll make it work.
I think when it comes to hand spun, it's not as big a deal when you mix blends like that.
Oh, I was just saying that because I hate silk.
Ah, okay.
Like
That's true.
personal
It is
preference.
something you have mentioned before.
I'm not a like spinning silk. I tend to go very, very thin,
Which
and I
makes
don't
it take
like go thin.
forever, which makes Laura hate it.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Um, Although I like to spin things thin on purpose. Speaking of which, I am going to spin. For look at my little sample wall. He's so weird, tiny. I sampled to spin for my House Cup Owl for this term, and I am going to spin for an even star shawl. So I am getting around about 20. See, I could push these together a little bit, but I won't. Around about 22 to 23 reps per inch. And this is a Southern Cross Fiber organic merino that I've got 10 ounces, 300 grams of. So I'm going to spin that up hopefully into 1,500 yards of a two-ply this summer. So that'll help my stash yardage.
So did you already, weigh it against the amount of yards you got, and you already have an idea of...
No. But I know I'll get 1,500 yards.
Oh, I mean, I have no doubt you will. I'm just wondering if you need to even spin the whole 10 ounces.
In my owl, I proposed 8 ounces, and then if I don't get 1,500 yards, then I'll spin the rest.
Oh, okay.
But my owl's not been approved yet.
Yeah.
So
I have zero doubt that you can make it happen out of that many ounces. I kind of think that you can make it between 6 and 8 ounces, and you'd still get, if you really want to, you can
Probably.
really stretch it.
Because the Into the World last summer, I did a 3-ply out of 4 ounces and got like 500 yards
It
or
was, I
600
think it was over
yards.
600. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I can totally get the 1500
I know that you
out of
can.
8. We'll see. I sampled it on the Lendrum, but I think I'm actually gonna spin it on the lace flyer on the mini spinner. Um, so it's a little bit more consistent, but we'll see. Plus, that's less treadling
Yeah, it is.
because lace takes a lot of treadling. But I have a new wheel too that I want to play with, but I'm not certain my hands could keep up with trying to do lace weight that thin with the amount of twist it would be adding. Plus, I have to finish the wheel before I can even play with it.
And by finish, you mean the wood is unfinished, so you have to
So it
add.
is unfinished, and I asked Lori if I could just put it together. Lori, our friend, Flutterby, does like woodworking. I was like, can I just not finish it and put it together? And then when mom comes, we'll take it apart and finish it then. And she's like, wow, the oils in your hands can actually damage it. And I was like, that
Poor
is not the
Laura.
answer. That is not the answer that I was looking for. Lazy Laura wants to just put this together and be done. But I'm gonna be responsible. I think I am gonna finish it with Danish oil,
Hmm.
and by me, I am going to watch my mom finish it with Danish oil and see how many, because you have to sand it,
Yeah,
and then this
so that
is
it'll
my
be ready
sanding.
to accept the
You have to
oil.
sand it, and then you put on oil, and then like I guess it like leaches out for up to 24 hours, so you have to continually wipe it down, and then you have to sand it again, and then you put on more oil. And it's like a 3-coat process. And you have to let it dry 24 hours in between each coat. And I don't have patience at all. Like, I know myself. I have patience with children, but that is it.
You
They
have a
use up
new
my
toy, dang
patience.
it, and you want to play with it now.
I do. And the directions to fix the sidekick are more than my brain. Like, if I was smart mechanically, I could totally do them. And I could probably still do them. But it's like you have to take pieces off and I'm
Hmm.
scared of breaking them. So I'm
See, I
making
think
them
that's
do
just
that
it.
too.
It's nothing negative on you because you just have patience for different things. Like I could do that, repairing the sidekick and it wouldn't bother me no matter how long it took. But if you asked me to spin a 3-ply lace,
But
like fingering weight out of 4 ounces and get more than
I've
500 yards, I
I've
would
like
just want to
three
jump off
months
a
to do it.
cliff. Like,
Yeah,
it's just a difference in what you feel is worth the time to
that's
you
true too.
personally. So, anyway, we have a question from
Oh, we
Luana.
do. So Luana asks about my Hansen. She said, I've noticed on Periscope that you use a jumbo flyer on your Hansen. I haven't Periscoped in forever, guys. I'm sorry. I haven't done it since Christmas. I am currently, oh, we have to talk about live podcasts because I do want to do one in May, and we haven't done one in March or April because they kind of slipped past us.
Yeah.
But anyway, we need to get back on that. We could do a Stash Dash one,
Okay,
like a
let's answer
gearing
the
up to
question
Stash Dash.
first.
Okay. Ah, patience. I've noticed in Periscope that you use a jumbo flyer in your Hansen. I'm currently using a woolly winder on mine, but I was wondering if there is a time that you feel it is a benefit to use a jumbo over a woolly winder. Thanks for your input. So I am not a huge woolly winder fan, so I'm going in with that bias. I think for the Hansen, what makes there's a so the Hansons are really their bobbins, their original bobbins. I don't have any of their flat pack bobbins. I have Acreworks bobbins, but their original bobbins are pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So my main issue always with the woolly winder is when I spin like lace weight, it can actually break the single because you're adding extra emotion and tension to it.
Hmm.
Um, that's just a little thing. Like if you're not spinning lace weight a whole lot, then it doesn't really matter. But for the Hanson, why I haven't gotten a woolly winder is A, I'm cheap. But B, I worry with me because I know myself and I'll be like, oh, I can sit here for 8 hours and spin. And I'll do it. And with the woolly winder, you don't have to stop and
Yeah.
move it. So there's not like a point in my brain that's like, yeah, you should stop, idiot, and you
Hey,
should get up
dummy.
and move. Because like, hey, the bobbin's getting really full and we need to stop and move the hook anyway. And when I stop and move the hook, a lot of times I'll get up and be like, do other stuff, and then I'll come back to it. But if I have a woolly winder on it, I wouldn't need to do that, and
Yeah.
I would just spin. And they're huge bobbins; they're like 8 ounce
Mm-hmm.
bobbins. So I would just spin and spin and spin, and like eight hours would go by, and then I wouldn't be able to walk because I've been like messing around so long, slouched over in my chair. So that is something to think about as well because you should always take frequent breaks. I try to take breaks every time I have to move my little thing, my hook, but also like every 15 to 20 minutes. Those commercial breaks I try to take. So and they're more expensive than a regular flyer. Woolly winders are a little bit more expensive because you are getting extra,
Functionality.
yeah, functionality with them. I do have a woolly winder for my Lendrum mainly because it came with it because I got it used.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only wheel that I have a woolly winder for, and I really don't use it much unless I'm plying or unless I know that I want to fit like every like for this bobbin, a woolly winder might have gotten me a little bit extra on there,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not certain that it would have, but it might have.
And also, if you like Laura mentioned, she spends lace weight frequently. It's like her default. Um, and a woolly winder changes how the yarn pulls onto the bobbin, like Laura
Yeah,
mentioned. So it can affect how you spin.
I can break the singles.
Yeah, I mean
Set attention to it.
it's it's something only people who spin super duper fine would probably notice.
That's true.
But it is, I mean, it is there, and Hansen does acknowledge it that it, it is a factor, but it's a trade off for not
Yeah.
having to wind this, to move the hooks or whatever, the
Yeah.
slider on the mini.
I don't know. It's just like obviously it's I don't know.
There's a cost
That
to the
being said,
convenience.
yes, that being said though, when we did Spinzilla, I was like, I totally need a woolly winder on this bobbin,
Hmm.
so I don't have to stop ever and I can sit here and spin for 8
I
hours.
would really like a woolly winder for my Hansen only for plying,
Yeah.
but that seems, I mean, that's like a $300 investment, maybe more with the bobbin for plying, and
No,
that's
it
kind of
comes with
silly.
a single bobbin. Let me see how much woolly winders are now. They'll be at Maryland, so if you want one.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know that I can talk myself into to that just for applying only so I can fit more on a bobbin. That just seems kind of silly.
No.
The way
All
I'm
right,
doing it
let's
now
see how
works. So when I
let's
do
see
it.
how much they're up to. I like the people who own woolly winder though.
Hmm.
Prices. So I think that's going to be a larger model.
The larger's the new one, right?
Well, they do current prices for standard models, which is a 3 to 3.5 inch diameter bobbins, and then current prices for jumbo bulky large models, which is 4 to 4.5. I would say that that's a 4 to 4.5 diameter bobbin, and it's 255
Mm,
for the flyer with the bobbin.
yeah.
And Acreworks makes additional bobbins. If you get the smaller one, like the Lindrum or the Shocked, then it's 225 and $39 for extra bobbins. Shipping $17, so you'd be saving $17, but you'd have to pay it in tax.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I probably won't do it.
Ooh,
Not.
worldwide shipping's $33.
Yeah, worldwide shipping is expensive.
Yeah.
Um. Anyhow, we do have a book to review.
We
And it
do.
was sent to us by the lovely folks over at F&W Media
It
who own
was.
Interweave. And ever since this book came, I've spent at least one night of each week just flipping through it and daydreaming
Have
about the
you?
socks. I'm so in love with the craziness that this book is. So
So
it's
this is New Directions
yeah.
in Sock Knitting. It's 18 innovative designs
Hmm.
knitted from every which way by Ann Budd. So Ann Budd got all these
She's the
together.
yeah, she collaborated with lots of different designers, but
Yeah,
she's
she's kind
the
of the editor.
editor. Yeah.
So there's some designs in here that are top down, toe up, and other
Yes.
construction. A lot of these names will be familiar to you. There's Kat Bordy,
Nice visual index.
Clarissa Browning, Rachel Coopy, Hunter Hammerson, Kate Atherley.
General
Um,
Hogbuffer, who's always in like
yes,
Sock Mania.
yeah. So some familiar names,
Hmm.
some big names in sock design for
Jenny
sure.
Stamen, who's the Jenny's.
Surprisingly
Yes,
stretchy bind off.
that one. And there, as I look through I mean, so we've seen a lot of sock books.
We have.
Um, and this one is so creative. Every sock is different.
Yeah.
Um, and none of them are like hokey for the sake of being different. They all,
So there you can always there's like with socks there's where they can be different and really cool and fit well, and then there's people who like they're different but they don't fit well.
yeah, they're different, but is it something you'd want to knit, you know?
Or wear, yeah.
Right. So, and I kind of want to work my way through this entire book.
It's got some cool stuff in it. My favorite is Kate's mirror socks, I think. So we're gonna start with top down construction.
Hmm.
And these are the mirror socks and a very interesting heel construction.
Yeah.
And they mirror each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you have two lone balls, like if you've used up some skeins for the Rose City rollers and you have like half a skein left
Mm-hmm.
over, perfect use for them.
They're also really
Gligu
good use for the
especially.
Quigu, yeah, because they come in
Yeah.
little like 200 yard or
Or Claudia's hand
175
paint
yards.
used
Yeah.
to do that. I really dig the fact that she has finished circumference sizes from a 6.5 all the way up to a 9. So 6.5,
Mm-hmm.
7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9. So lots of different sizes, which I really, really appreciate.
And every single
Sure.
pattern has this little notes section that tells you things you're going to
Yeah.
need to remember as you make these socks, because almost nothing in this book is your simple cast on, knit ribbing, knit leg, do the heel flap. None of it's that simple.
Oh, these are worked two at a time in double knitting.
Yes,
With
they're
one sock
inside of each
inside the
other.
other.
Yes. So that when you
Whoa.
bind off, they're both done. It's
Whoa.
super cool.
That's
Yeah, so here's a
really,
picture of
really interesting.
the the way that they're done. Once you bind off the ribbing, you're finished with both of them. So it takes twice as long to get anything
I
done.
would totally mistakenly like connect them
It's
together
like
at
double
some
knitting,
point.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's like I feel like a 17-year-old saying like and cool, but it's just a really well put together book. Um, Another really interesting pattern. This was by Kat Bordy. Everything Kat Bordy does is
Yeah.
interesting. And so she takes two
Enduring
separate solid
sprints.
skeins and makes them into really interesting fraternal socks. This would
Yeah.
be a great project for like the Loopy Solid series, or
Oh
again
yeah.
Quigu. That would be a good pattern
And she
because
uses the sweet tomato heel in
mm-hmm.
this, so if you've never done the sweet tomato heel before, this would
Yes,
be a good way
and she
to
gives you great illustrations, if you know, so
get
that
it done.
you don't have to go out and watch the video if you don't want to, that teaches you how to do it. She gives you a nice good illustration there as well. Let's see, we're not going to show every single pattern, but I do want to knit every single pattern.
Bertha is really pretty, and that would be
I love
pretty out
that.
of Rachel Coopy's new
Mm-hmm.
solid series. Ooh, that would be another
Socks,
one for
yeah.
that cat Bordy, because you can buy them in 50-gram balls. The socks, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the Cat Bordy one would be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like how in that one she carries the color work into the heel. It's
Hmm.
not something that you see frequently
Striped.
when you've just got the color work in certain spots versus over the entire sock.
Then
So
there's Cleave by Hunter Hammerson, who we are such big fan. Her and Rachel, we are huge
Yes.
fans of, and
I
she does very classic
Yeah.
looking socks
And
that are
they're
just
very
gorgeous.
unisex looking.
Mm-hmm.
Um so, either you or your significant other or whatever could wear them. I'm really interested in how this heel and the gusset works
Yes.
because it's got these interesting little details, and I'm curious as to how they're created.
It's increased out. I think it's like vanilla is the new black.
Where it increases out to the
Yeah,
gusset.
at
I
a
don't know.
point.
I'm really interested. Like, I want to knit them all right now, please.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it looks like a really complicated cable, it's only like 8 rows. That's
Yeah.
it. So the pattern is only 8 rows. This one I'm interested in because it's based off of an Elizabeth Zimmerman arch. Um,
Shaped foot.
yes.
Yeah.
So this
The
is
tilt a
Tilt a
whirl.
Whirl by Jennifer Lee, and the yarn overs inside of the pattern allow for ventilation. So even in a really woolly sock, like this is knit in Silk Garden, it still allows it to breathe. And I've knit socks where the bottom of the sock comes up over the instep, and they're snug that way. And I still wear them all the time. They fit really well.
From Toe Up Socks, there's this really cool mitered triangles by
Yes.
Catherine Alexander.
Although that uses separate little bits and bobs of yarn, I would like to see it in a self-striping. I think it would be
Ooh, that would
really
be
cool in a
cool.
self-striping. Um, you may not always, the colors might not divide perfectly,
Quite
but
evenly,
it
yeah.
would still be a really interesting visual to how the colors line up versus a standard pattern.
It's really an interesting construction.
Let's see. There is one with intarsia in there, which goes into everything about even how you wind the yarn for the little butterflies. It's very detailed. Also, unexpectedly like this one by Carissa Browning called
Yeah,
Cumulus.
looks
Um,
like clouds.
yeah, and the sock. She says the sock design builds on itself, layer upon layer, and the pattern even goes on the bottom of the foot. It's this really almost like Japanese fan sort of
Mm-hmm.
design that goes over the top of the foot and the bottom of the foot. And it's just a really pretty effect. And the arch of the heel is also very interesting.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
curious as to how that's created. So let's see, what else?
There's other construction, and in the is the
Hmm.
U-turn sock, which is so cool for
That's the
self-striping.
first one I'm casting on.
It's going different directions.
Yes, the
So
back of it is like knit sideways, and then you pick up
yeah,
stitches and you knit the front back and forth, and then once you get past the gusset, it's knit normally. But
it's really, really
yeah,
interesting.
it is really a cool design.
There's a better picture of the back, maybe. Yep.
Yes. And General Hawkbuffer is one. I've got several of his patterns in my library, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested to knit them. It's just I have to get into that headspace where it's not a brainless knit. It's one I
Yeah.
need to sort of pay attention to.
He's from Germany originally, but now lives in London. That's cool.
Um, also think this one is kind of cool. Boomerang by Louise Robert. Um,
Mm-hmm.
these it almost looks like two separate patterns because it looks like slippers and then a separate sewn
You
in
know what
pattern.
construction that is? That's the class that I took at
That's what I
Stitches
thought.
last
It looked
year.
similar to that where you can replace the
Yeah.
heel.
You
Um,
can replace the whole bottom of the foot, and then you just knit the top separately. That's exactly what that
but I think
is.
it's a great use of self striping because you bring in those colors
Mhm.
from the back into that lace
And then the
panel in the
seat
front.
stitch looks like it's knit sideways almost. Yep.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Um, this is seed beds, which they're knitted from the ground up, literally, she says, and so it's a different construction as for how the sole is knit versus how the leg and instep are knit. It's got a really interesting moss panel with a chevron design in there.
I really like Vanishing Point.
I do too.
They're
Uh,
different.
it'd be good for a gradient yarn.
Yes.
Um, that's what she used. Clearly, that's what it would
I
be
like
good
to
for a
see it
gradient
out of
yarn.
self-striping though too.
I do too. Although I think
It
that
would
the
make it get too skinny, I
it
think,
would really
because you're
warp
knitting
the
it
colors, but it might
sideways.
do it in a very interesting way. Um,
Interesting.
but yeah,
A
Laura,
thicker stripe self-striping would work better than a skinnier one, for
yeah,
sure.
but it's a really interesting construction. You can see in the back there
Yeah,
how it ends. It's just
it's almost like a placket and
really cool.
back. I really also like the smoky zig
Yes,
zacks.
that is
They're
also one I
pretty.
super wanted, and
And their garter.
I was trying to choose between that and the hog buffer ones, and the hog buffer ones won only because they require less yarn. Because of the way that these are designed and the size of my giant foot, I would need more than 450 yards of self striping.
That's hard.
So it
Yeah.
would be something I would go and get like the
Ooh, I have
Patton's
that.
Croy or
I
something.
have that yarn.
Um,
That yarn that they use, I actually have the smoky eyes and colored
mm,
lips. It's opal.
yeah, I would need like 550 yards just to be safe for my size. So I
You could do
probably
it
would
out
go and
of
get.
Volmiza.
I could, but Woolmizer doesn't do self striping, and I really like
Oh,
the
but
effect of the self striping in this. And so she even shows you how, because each of these socks is knit in a different direction, you have to do gauge in a different way. And so you do have to gauge swatch for a sock, which I haven't done in a while.
yeah.
But she walks you through how to do it and how it'll help you figure out the yardage that you need and everything. She even, anytime there's a special technique, they lay it out
Oh,
with
yeah.
illustrations in the pattern. They don't
It's
just
really
say
well
refer
done,
to this page, whatever. They show you right there exactly what you need to know, which
which
is
is
really
great.
useful. It's got some very minimal information in the back as to how to do Kitchener, three needle bind off, that sort of thing. It's definitely not a beginner book,
Yeah.
but I think that it's one that would really kind of kick you in the butt if you're kind of,
On the fence about, well, if you've
if
been
you're
doing the same
bored, yeah,
sock,
if you're
yeah,
bored of
for
the same
forever.
thing that you've been doing forever, this is a fantastic book. If they had not sent it to me, I would have bought it. I love so many of the patterns in this book, and I'm very serious
It's
about
really
wanting to
fun.
work through the whole
You
thing.
should.
Um, but I would need like 2 years probably
Meh.
to do it. But
18 patterns,
so
yeah.
I mean, there's so much to learn in there. But yeah, so this was sent to us for review by F&W Media. Two big giant thumbs up from me.
Yay.
Um, and if
It is New Directions in Sock Knitting.
mm-hmm,
18 innovative designs knitted from every which way, and the editor is Ann Budd. It retails for
26.95.
$26.99
Mm-hmm.
in the US.
And we put a link on the show notes. You can get it from Amazon. Sometimes you can get
Yep.
it cheaper there. So check that out.
Yep, I've been reading Nora Roberts and Susan Mallory Fluff because that's the only thing I
Because
can
it's
read right
this
now.
week and you need it.
Yep, well, it's the last week too. But not like I've been rereading some of the old Nora Roberts, which has been fun. But that's about it for me. What have you been reading?
Um, well, I've been reading fluff as well, but I've been listening to a new book that I found. It was one of the recommended ones on Audible because,
Mhm.
they mine your data and they say, oh, based on these things that you bought,
Yeah.
you might like this thing, which is sometimes useful. So there's a new book. Well, I don't know how new it is. It's called Dawn of Wonder, and it is by Jonathan Renshaw, and it was narrated by Tim Gerard Reynolds, who has narrated a ton of books. Like he's narrated the Red Rising series and
Okay.
a couple of Hugh Howey books. He's narrated The Theft of Swords, which I haven't listened to, but it's a popular book in the science fiction realm. So on one hand, I'm sort of having trouble because his voice is so familiar to me that I sort
Yeah.
of link him to other characters unconsciously.
Uh-huh.
But the story is really interesting. It's kind of reminiscent of one I've read before called Blood Song, by Anthony Ryan, where it's a young boy, tragedy affects him, and he goes into sort of a school, a military school, where the kids grow up and they get trained and they learn
Do they learn
languages. And
magic?
well, see, that's the thing. Right now, it's in science fiction and fantasy. It's the number one in science fiction and fantasy right now. It
Uh-huh.
came out in February of this year, so it's pretty new. And I'm like 6 hours into a 30-hour book, and so far, no magic or anything, or science fiction, really, aside from his family passed a tower that was kind of spooky, but like there was no like clear magical
Yeah.
or anything.
Interesting.
But I'm really enjoying the story. I can't tell you if it's fit for kids because I haven't listened to the whole thing. Right now, the character's only like 10, so
Yeah.
hopefully. But it's considered an epic fantasy, so I'm assuming that there will be some supernatural elements in there at some point. But I'm enjoying it. I'm listening to it as I drive mostly, and at night I'll listen to it usually as I'm sitting and playing games on my tablet instead of sleeping.
Perfect.
Uh,
Favorite things. We have Stash Dash coming up. We'll
mhm.
talk about that probably not next week, but the following week. We'll
Yeah.
go through all the Stash Dash things. Next week we will be a little bit late because we'll be at Maryland Sheep and Wool, and I don't get it until midnight Sunday, return wise. So that'll be fun. Well, there is a coupon code for Merchantiles Patterns, and we linked that last week. If you would like to do a coupon code or anything for Stash Dash, just let us know and we'll add it to our list. We do have a spin along, knit along going
Hmm.
on with Wandering Wool and Ross Farms.
Yep.
And actually, I have the oh, no, I moved it over there. I found my fiber. I put it in the DFW bag because I was going to talk about it when I got back from DFW, and now I've moved my DFW bag to over there.
You fail.
But I can probably stand up and get it.
Okay. Well,
While
this
you
is a
talk,
spin
talk,
along, knit
talk, talk.
along for, like Laura mentioned, into the world, Ross Farms and Wandering Wool, and it's a kind of a special one because the wool isn't just sourced; it's sourced from a farm of that belongs to one of these ladies, and the wool comes from sheep who we know the names of, and
Yeah.
then it's once it's been processed, it's sent to Joelle of Wandering Wool, and she dyes it in a colorway called Freddie Loves the Knit Girls or something like that.
No, it's Freddie the Peacock.
But it's
It
something.
is Freddie Loves the Knit Girls. You're
See,
right. Look at the Lester Longwell lamb.
yeah. So it's really kind of a cool way for it to be an
It's really
inclusive,
pretty
almost
too.
bubble of around the craft world and
Yeah.
our joined efforts. So yeah, it's nice, rich colors, jewel tones, because it's
Yep.
us. And
Really pretty.
the fiber itself is, let's see, $28 for 4 ounces. And if you want to do the yarn instead, it's a DK weight skein of 250 yards dyed in the same colorway.
It is a longer staple length,
Yeah,
so you can see.
you can stretch it and really get some good yardage out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
The yarn, if you want the yarn finished, it's $45 for 250 yards of a DK weight, which I understand is pricey and not necessarily for everyone, but at the same time, it's also like
Locally sourced.
locally sourced, like to a fault. It's meta because it goes down to the sheep itself that we
Yep.
can say where it came from. So it is you are supporting a small business.
Two small businesses, because Ross Farms is the farm, and then
That's true.
Wandering Wool is the dyer. So it's really, really pretty.
Both of which will be at SSK.
Yes. And Ross Farms will be at Maryland Sheep and Wool. So we have to go say hi to Scooter Pie
Oh, of
and
course.
Amy. Always. They're on my list of people to see and visit with. Because apparently I have to create lists because Jessica says so. And she's the
Jessica,
boss of me.
Jessica is the other moderator on our group. Show Me Your Knits is her Ravelry name, and she is very bossy and believes in having lists when you go places.
She
So
won't forget anything that way.
that's true. She won't. But lists stress me
Um,
out. So
they do. Speaking of Maryland Sheep and Wool, we will have a meetup from 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. on Saturday. It is in the 4-H Hall, and you can find all the information about where that is located on sheepandwool.org. Not the meetup, but where that actual building is. I think
hmm
it's over by the fleece barn, but I'm not
I don't know. I'm
100%.
trying to picture Maryland sheep and wool, and all I can picture is Rhinebeck. So
Okay.
so I can't really remember because my brain
Rhinebeck's more spread out than
it
Maryland is.
is. Um,
Walk for miles. We will be at TNNA. When is that? June
June
something something
11th
something.
through the 13th.
There you go.
We will be there that Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday, we drive back to
To Philly.
Philly and then get on a plane.
Yeah, we do. Because
Um,
we are crazy pants, y'all.
yeah, we wanted to go and see another friend of ours, and so we figured we would squeeze that in while we could,
Yep.
since Laura's already going to be here. So,
Works out perfect. And
hmm
that way I can harass Leslie on the plane. Um, we have some SSK stuff to discuss real fast. So, SSK classes, there's a blog that has all the classes listed in it. And then Leslie has created a form that
hmm
you fill out and submit your classes. How it works is this: you pick your top 3 classes,
hmm
and I work my magic, and usually can fit every single person in their top class.
yep,
Um, Exceptions may come, like if 10 people want to take the same spinning class and all 10 need to rent wheels.
yeah. You
I
have to do
only
some
have
juggling, yeah.
I only have 5 wheels to rent. So,
Only.
well, actually we have, I don't know. We don't like renting the shocked reeves or the like more, what am I? The hard
The ones
spin
with
on.
more bells and whistles.
Well, they're just harder. I think the shocked reeves is harder to spin on, especially if you're trying to do like bulky singles. You're not going to get bulky singles real well on the shocked reeves. It adds twist too fast. But anyway, we try to find wheels that suit not only the
Right,
person but the class, what's being taught in the class as well.
right.
Um, so it does not matter when you fill out your form.
Nope, it's
If you
not
do it
first
in the
come, first
next two
serve.
weeks, it's not first come, first serve. What happens is your form comes to my email. I create a giant spreadsheet, and then I start writing lists, and I'm like, oh, these 20 people want to take this class, and there's 20 spots, and that's their first selection, and then I cross them off. And you can take more than one class. There's a small fee, a very small fee, actually. We're probably underselling ourselves on that fee, but um, we
Everything is
want to
laid
make
out
it
on the form.
accessible.
Yeah.
Yep,
You can tell us whether you want 1 class or 3 classes. If
or four
you
classes.
are dedicated and you want 4, then you just message Laura and let her know that.
Yep,
Because there's only spot for 3 classes on the form. I didn't want to make it overly complicated.
yep. Always select the class that you want to take the most as your first
hmm
class, because that is the one that you are more than likely to get.
Yeah.
Okay, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So that is all I have to say about classes. We're ready to roll on that. And I should have the rosters up on Ravelry June 1st as long as everyone fills out their forms. We do have a Patreon giveaway to give away. I
A
have
giveaway to give away.
a giveaway to give away. I'm going to apply this yarn, and this will be the hand spun for this month. I'm waiting. I'm testing the Acreworks Lazy Kate, so I'm waiting for that to come so I could have lots of singles to test on it. Although, really, I will have like 5 more bobbins of singles to test on it, so I really can probably start on that tonight, and I probably will. Probably apply that tonight. So, who do we have for hand spun?
Okie dokie. So I don't have. I'm not comfortable like sharing the spreadsheet of who's donating what because that's kind of private
Yeah.
information. So you just have to trust that I'm being honest. I have no reason to not be honest. So for the hand spun, our numbers are between 2 and 36, and I will
Oh, my
go
Charms Owl got approved.
way for being in the moment, Laura.
Yes. I I popped on Ravelry real fast to look and see if there are any questions.
Okay, so two, oh, not three, 2 to 36. Okay, so I haven't pushed the button, and I'm gonna push the button. The number is 20.
Who is it?
So number 20, who's gonna win the hand spun from Laura, is Karen Doriela, and she is in Clifton, Virginia. So
Oh, cool.
Karen,
Shoot me a PM.
I already have her address.
Oh, that's right. Leslie needs to send it to me.
So I'm going to highlight it right now so that I remember to send that to her. And then for our yarn giveaway this week, I'm going to send a skein of Dream in Color in the Aran weight in the Tex-Mex color. This is 175 yards of an Aran weight yarn, and I'm going to include these Fix-A-Stitch.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool little tool. I keep them in my Notions pouch so that if you drop stitches, or if you need to pick up stitches on an edge, these are really handy for that, and there's several different sizes in there as well. So this is the prize for the commercial yarn giveaway. And for that, we have numbers 2 through 56. So I'm going to refresh this page, and then I'm going to do a 2 through 56. And we will see who won. And this is something we do once a month.
Yep.
For giveaways. I would like at some point later this year to do where every month we pull like one person from the total pool who wins something handmade from us. It may just be like, a little sewing bag, or it might be, some felted coasters or something. You never know. More on that later. But so 2 through 56. And then I'm going to generate the number. The number is 26. So let's see. Number 26 is Rachel Chilkatowski. Apologies if I butchered her name, Rachel. And she is in Philly.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
We could hand deliver that.
Yeah. So, Rachel, I will make sure to get this out to you this week. I will give it to Mr. Awesome to do the postage on and get it out to you this week. And I need to make sure I send Laura the address for Karen. What's Karen? Yep, Karen. Okay. So, thank you to everyone who donates to us through Patreon. It is super duper helpful. Sorry about the dogs. I feel like I say that every week. Somebody must have walked by in the house, in the neighborhood. How dare they? Aside from that, I really don't have anything else. Do you have anything?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try to bring the camera to Maryland and get just a few little clips. Nothing super special, but maybe something we can add to the end of the next episode. But until then, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.